Okay, gentlemen, I give you
career of
instructions upstairs.
Litzau.
Remember, both your trunks a little high. Aquí está bien. Shake hands. Good luck to both of you. Dense la mano y buena suerte a los dos.
A look at the ring experience. The ring experience will favor Nolasco, and he feels that will be the difference in this fight. He has fought and lost to a higher level of fighter, including a 2003 8-round decision to Stephen Luevano. Jason Litzau has 3 first-round knockouts. He has at times started very fast in his young career. He is in the red, white, and blue, the American boy, against Johnny Nolasco in the red and white.
For Nolasco to have success tonight, it starts with what he does in front. He likes to stand right out in front of his opponent. He must judge that distance perfectly and not be susceptible to the jab of Litzau, because if that jab of Litzau finds Nolasco, it will not be far and long before the right hand also finds him.
Seen that before from Litzau. Classic 1-2 in that right hand can be devastating. Packs a punch at 126 pounds. To prepare for this fight, Teddy, they brought in Francisco Lorenzo after we had broadcast his win over Nate Campbell. And Lorenzo looked pretty good in that fight. He's an awkward kid, but he'll get you ready, and he's a very busy guy to have in camp.
Good sparring, good boxing.
Interestingly enough, unfortunately for Francisco Lorenzo, on the last day of training camp with Jason Litzau, he broke his collarbone playing in a softball game, diving for a catch. There's a body shot coming in, and then Nolasco wraps up. A warning from Caiz.
Again, the danger zone out in front at the end of the jab of Litzau for Nolasco. If he stands right out in front and doesn't change that distance or go to the sides, it's only a matter of time. If the jab can find you, the right hand's not far behind. And the jab's starting to find Nolasco as we speak.
Litzau threw out 20 jabs in the first minute and a half alone of this first round. So working behind it, finding that target. There he goes again with the left hand, tries the right hand.
Litzau built like a guy who can punch. A lot of people might think it's the stockier, broader people that can punch. But usually wiry, thin fighters get good leverage. Look at Bob Forster, the great light heavyweight champion. As thin as his stick.
Tommy Hearns, of course, used that to his advantage.
Carlos Zarate, great bantamweight champ. Alexis Arguello. You're right, Joe. The list goes on and on.
And thus the 14 knockouts in 14 fights. Teddy, you know, there still is something very special and a little buzz in the air when a fighter is announced and you hear 14 wins, 14 knockouts.
Yes, there is.
Early on, when a prospect is taking that ride up and it's been knockouts all along the way, you start to build that momentum and the fans get behind you, and that's been the case for the young Jason Litzau, the 22-year-old from St. Paul. He overcame a very difficult childhood. Boxing gave him an answer, gave him a direction. He had a good amateur career and now has emerged as a fan favorite as a young pro. They are scheduled for 10 rounds. Johnny Nolasco and Jason Litzau on Friday Night Fights, presented by AutoZone. Fighter focus on Johnny Nolasco. His uncle Pedro Nolasco won the bronze medal at the LA Olympics. Of course, he was an Olympian himself in '96, did not medal. As for Jason Litzau, the American boy, ranked 11th in the NABF, and as that record builds, the rankings will come. He fought 8 months ago. That was the night before our pay-per-view at Caesars Palace. He was a high school wrestler, and of course, we've also seen his brother Alan on our air, and you can see how loose and comfortable Jason Litzau is. Round number 2 against Nolasco.
We
Hands
talked
down now at the side, steady.
Joe, that leads me right into what I was about to say. Talked about the danger zone and spots for Nolasco standing out in front where he can be touched with that jab. And if you can be touched with a jab, it's not long before a right hand can crash home. Well, the danger places for Litzau is as he steps away from his opponent with his hands down. He can be timed. And you can see that Nolasco had that in his mind just then, but he was late and long. You need to be at the right distance, and you need to anticipate Litzau as he's about to step back. Kind of put him in a position where he's going to have to go back, and as he goes back, go with him and actually throw the punch behind him, where he can move back into the punch. Not at him, but behind him.
Right hand.
Right now, no such worries for Litzau. He's on the attack. He can keep his hands down now because he's out of punching range. But if his opponent gets into punching range, by stepping with him, that's where there can be danger. And maybe a sudden problem for Litzau. As he steps back, little undisciplined and reckless with those hands down.
Stop, break, nice and relaxed.
Right now, the offensive Litzau is keeping Nolasco from being confident or aggressive enough to try to take a chance on landing a punch in that manner, which would mean stepping with Litzau, forcing him back, and moving him into a punch. It takes confidence and a surety to do that. And right there, you can see Nolasco, that's what he's looking for. He's starting to recognize that there's a window of opportunity for that kind of attack.
Something to look for. Teddy points it out here in round number 2, and it's exactly when it takes effect. And there's a right hand that comes in from Nolasco.
Well, that's where Nolasco wants to be. There's a difference in punching zones for both fighters. Litzau being taller and longer, his punching zone is from further out. Nolasco must get closer, which he's trying to do now, which he is in position right now in his punching place of preference, where he can be effective, where his shorter arms can get the job done, and maybe take advantage of Litzau having long arms and not using them on the inside.
Interesting turn of events here in round number 2 between Nolasco and Litzau as the pace has quickened and the flaws have been seen. Well, we have been here in Southern California all week long. You saw us at the Playboy Mansion the other night. Loads of celebrity guests with us, and one of our favorites and a real fan of the sport, and a guy who's in the sport, Mario Lopez, TV actor and personality. Good to be with you, and we've been spending some time together this week.
Great to be with you guys. I got to tell you, it's a pleasure to be here on Friday Night Fights. As I was explaining to you earlier, Joe, I think you guys are the best in the business. Teddy, be here next to Legend. I'm so excited. I'm like a kid in a candy store.
Yeah, you are a big boxing fan. I know you watch the show religiously.
Yes,
and you
T-Bone,
train.
season
Wait,
pass.
Here comes the money out of the pocket.
What do I owe you for that?
Well, you take care of me later.
Mario, you work out at Wild Card Gym.
Yes, I do.
You're in
Freddie
there with
Roach's
Freddie
gym.
Roach, James Toney, Manny
Yes, sir.
Pacquiao. But you've been watching a young man from Russia train at Wild Card recently who pulled a shocker last night. Roman Karmazin over Kasim Uma.
Yes, and he looked fantastic. I actually thought he was going to pull off the upset, Teddy, but I didn't think he was going to be as dominated.
Why did you think that? Because that's interesting.
I'll tell you why. Well, I see how hard he works in the gym. Maybe I was being a little biased because he was a stablemate, but I noticed how he was sparring against Vernon Forrest, and I tell you, he was getting the best against him. And I know
Really?
Vernon has been inactive for a while now, but he was looking really sharp, really strong. And Uma, I think, has been a little complacent. I've seen him in interviews recently, and he seemed to be living high off the hog, and maybe he lost a little of that
I
hog.
think that's a good observation.
I think that's a great observation.
People in the know, in the business, supposedly in the know anyway, in the business, would say that about Uma.
Yes.
A kid that doesn't always have the best work ethic, some bad habits outside the ring. His maturity in the ring has been better than his maturity outside the ring.
I agree. And you figure a guy who's gone through what he's gone through with nobody.
Yes.
Round number
Good point.
3 here. Good action between Johnny Nolasco and Jason Litzau. Litzau, of course, the unbeaten prospect. This is a step up for him against the former Olympian, the veteran who's been around the block and is very much up for this fight. Joe Tessitore and Teddy Atlas with you, joined by Mario Lopez, TV actor and personality, huge fight fan. A guy who I went to Wild Card Gym yesterday to see Kingsley Akika. I walk in, you're in the ring.
That's
You're
right,
in
just
there
finished
working out.
sparring. Just finished sparring. And unfortunately, or fortunately, it wasn't with Kingsley Akika.
What do you think of Jason Litzau? This is a good-looking kid, obviously, in terms of fan attraction. He's got some growth to do, but very marketable guy here.
No, I agree. Good-looking kid. What I want to know is, when did St. Paul, Minnesota become a hotbed of boxing? You got Matt Vanda coming out of here. This kid, for headlining an ESPN Friday Night Fights, he looks extremely relaxed. You know, he's joking around the ring, as we can see. But Teddy, as he pointed out, when he's out the clinch, he's coming back, and his hands are really low, and he's ready for a nice left hook counter.
That's a danger place for him as he pulls back, as you just said, with his hands down. And we haven't seen it yet, but one of the punches in his arsenal, in his repertoire, that being Litzau, he likes to use that right uppercut. And that can be an effective punch, but it can also be a dangerous punch as the way Litzau throws it. Sometimes he'll throw it from a little too far away, drop his hand to throw it, And we've already seen that Nolasco knows how to throw a pretty good left hook. We'll see whether or not Litzau gives that opportunity to Nolasco as Litzau throws that right uppercut from too far away, leaving himself a little open for a timed left hook. Right now, Nolasco's getting close with that left hook.
Chases him down with the left hand, fellas.
Well, he's getting into punching position. He's getting a little bit more aggressive, Nolasco, being allowed to close the gap more and more. And that's only good for Nolasco, who has the shorter arms. And as we said in the second round, his punching area is closer than Litzau's.
Took him a round and a half to figure it out, but things have gotten interesting between these two.
Litzau only 22 years old. Don't think that age and maturity are not a factor when you're starting to step up. Nolasco, 29 years old, and he has been in with the better opposition. A test for Litzau.
Don't go anywhere. You're going to do another round with us. We come to the end of round number 3.
I'm going to...
Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas, and TV actor and personality Mario Lopez with you here. Round number 4 of our main event, Johnny Nolasco and Litzau. Nolasco had his best round so far in that third round. He was 10 of 56, outworking Jason Litzau. Litzau a little more accurate. He was 20 of 53. Good action there in the second and third round. Mario, big boxing fan. You sparred wild card. You've been very athletic even in your acting. Why do acting and boxing go so well together? We've seen so many great boxing movies, but why do they mesh the way they do?
You know, there's been many sports films made, but boxing, I think, has captured the public's imagination like no other. Just this year with Cinderella Man, last year with $1 Million Baby, and over the years, even going back to like Paul Newman, somebody up the, likes me. I think it's because there's so many characters and there's so many wonderful personalities in the sports that, and the stories are so compelling. You can't compare it to anything else. It's a whole other animal, you know, and it's just unbelievable. Maybe I'm biased, but I think it really translates.
You're passionate, that's what you are. Let's bring in Marvelous Marvin Hagler, our guest studio analyst tonight. Marvelous, what do you see early on that you like and don't like out of Jason Litzau? Give me the pluses and minuses.
I like Litzau, no doubt about it, but when he's coming forward, he's a big force, but when he's backing up, he drops his hand, a lot of bad habits, and I feel he's too cocky. But you know, in the beginning, you have to be cocky until you gain the confidence. I love the way that Nolasco, if he puts the pressure and back him up, I think he had a great opportunity of probably stopping him or beating him on his first loss.
Marvin, I agree with you. You know, they just brought up here about the parallel with acting and fighting. You could speak very well on that.
That's right.
Because, of course, you have a career in Italy. Why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, yeah. You know, I love acting, you know, and I think I'm like a big kid in a candy store.
You know, I always felt that the reason why fighters have a chance to be okay at acting and want to act is because they're already used to controlling their feelings and behaving a way that they don't necessarily feel. They're trying to show people they're not worried, when, of course, they are worried.
It's a great
Yeah,
Good
I think
action
exactly
here from
right.
Litzau.
I think
Marvelous, thank you very much.
Okay, buddies.
Wonderful insight, as always. Mario, thank you very much. You stop by anytime you want.
It's a pleasure, gentlemen.
You've been listening to Teddy a lot sitting on your couch at home, haven't you?
All the time, taking the notes. Thank you, Teddy.
Mario Lopez with us this week on Friday Night Fights. Trading some left hooks here moments ago, Teddy.
Well, what's happening here is all of a sudden Nolasco's getting what he wants. He's getting a better distance, a better punching position than he had in the first round. He's getting closer, and closer for Nolasco translates into being effective.
End of 4. Jason Litzau preparing himself for the 5th round in the biggest step up of his young career. His first 10-round main event. Undefeated, 14 wins, 14 knockouts, but a very, very game Johnny Nolasco in front of him. The power punches in round number 4. Litzau landing 48%. Nolasco working a little harder, but only landing 22%. He was 11 out of 49. Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Litzau in the 1st and 4th and even 2nd, and Nolasco had a very fine 3rd round, 39-38.
Well, as Captain Kirk says in Star Trek, as we get later and later in this fight, there's a chance of both fighters going to places they've never gone before. Nolasco has never been past 8 rounds. Litzau never passed 6 rounds. We'll see if that's on their minds. and whether it shows in their bodies. This fight, as far as I'm concerned, I said it early on, Joe, for Nolasco is all about range and distance. Can he get close enough? Can Litzau keep him outside where he can touch him with the jab and then eventually find him with the right hand? So far, Nolasco, the answer to that question has been Nolasco can get closer two ways. One on his own motivation, stepping forward, working his way in. The other is right there, evidence right there. Litzau helping him a little bit, becoming small, giving up his height, falling in, engaging Nolasco, allowing Nolasco to get into his punching range.
Well, the number one check mark on your fight plan was for Jason to be long. He needs to be long in order to belong on the next level, from prospect to contender. Still a ways away from that.
Nolasco's still trying to catch Litzau as he steps back. Try to time him as he steps back, knowing he's going to have his hands down.
Doubles up the right hand.
Good competitive fight here, and as we thought, a test. And going to continue to be a test for the young 22-year-old undefeated Litzau.
Nolasco still working hard here. Right hand over the top by Litzau, parried.
See, the key for Litzau right there, use the jab, set up the right hand, and stay at the proper range. Keep your feet anchored where you don't fall in and give up that height. You might score, but by falling in like that, you get too close.
That is the danger zone, and the danger zone was a costly error as we come to the last 30 seconds of this fifth round.
Now Litzau is tested. Now you don't see what he has on the outside. You're going to find what he possesses on the inside.
Looping right hands, Litzau landing his own left and then a right.
Well, right now being taller is a detriment to Litzau, because when you're tall and you stand tall in the punching zone of your opponent, there's a lot of target, and Nolasco is finding that target.
Undefeated as of now, but an uphill battle in front of him for Jason Litzau. Good round from Nolasco. That's what I'm talking about. Bob Van Sickle in the corner with Litzau. He's been with him every step of the way. You can see his brother Alan concerned, talking through the ropes, trying to deal with the bloody nose and the first real challenge of his career, Teddy.
Well, let's take a peek. If we'll turn that round for Nolasco, and there it is, the left hook. We were talking about it earlier, and in order to land the punch, you had to get some cooperation, and he did. Litzau gave up his height, he fell in, had his hand down a little bit, and Nolasco took advantage, as you saw right there, timing him, countering him with a left hook, and he knew what to do, stayed right on his opponent.
The 29-year-old Johnny Nolasco. He has momentum. He's unbeaten in his last 5. He said, I know Litzau is hungry and confident, but I don't think he can get by my experience. And as we get into the late rounds, that experience will surely pay off.
You know, it's one thing to land the punch. Anybody could see that. Left hook landed. But it's another to come up with the reason and the idea of how to land the punch. Nolasco was able to land that punch because he was smart. He waited for Litzau to give up his height. He got a little cooperation. Litzau fell in after throwing a punch, got a little shorter, and Nolasco was there to time him with a left hook. Anyone can throw a punch. Marvin will tell you that. Not everyone can land one. There's a trick. There's a science. There's an understanding. Nolasco understood how to land that left hook.
All tied up on Teddy Atlas's scorecard. You saw the punch numbers. They were good in terms of power punches for Nolasco. And he's just working more, gaining confidence. And on the inside, when Litzau gives him those opportunities, throwing the punches in bunches. He threw 39 and 33 punches in the first and second round, respectively. 61 in the fourth, 85 in that fifth round where he landed the big left hook.
You know, I don't like what I saw about 20 seconds ago, and it's going to sound funny, because a positive, I'm going to say, to me, looked like a negative. Litzau landed a right hand, but he fell in with his right foot, and he got into the punching distance once again of Nolasco. He continues doing that again. He throws the right hand, he misses it, but he falls in to a place where Nolasco has to be happy he's coming into.
Lands a right hand, and immediately Nolasco returning fire. You can see the blood coming from the nose of Jason Litzau. That started in the 5th round.
See, Litzau has to be able to throw his punches from out there, Joe, and keep his legs out there. Not fall in like he just did once again.
Don't push his head down. Let's go.
A positive could quickly be a negative when you're doing things wrong. The positive Litzau, yeah, he's landing the right hand, throwing it, but look what happens. His body falls in, and there it is, the left hook.
Traded left hooks, and the better of it came from Nolasco.
If I was in the corner of Litzau, I'd say, yeah, I want you to land the right hand. Yeah, I want you to land the jab, but I want you to keep your feet stationary. I want you to keep your range. I do not want your body to follow your punches. Right now, the body of Litzau following the punches as he falls into the punching land of Nolasco. Remember, the best yet to come as these fighters get ready to go into territories they've never been before. And it's going to happen first for Litzau as he's about to go into his 7th round he's never been.
Only been 6 once.
Brian Kenny back here in the studio. As the guys mentioned, Kasim Uma beaten by Roman Karmazin. It wasn't close last night at the Orleans in Las Vegas. 2 knockdowns in the 3rd round. Unanimous decision by a wide margin. Karmazin beat Keith Holmes in April. His last loss to Javier Castillo in 2002. Kasim Uma seemed to be the guy that would take over at 154 once Winky Wright stayed up at 160. Here's the top 5 at ESPN.com. Winky Wright is still the Ring Magazine champ in this weight class. Joe?
Ryan, just an unbelievable shocker. But Teddy, when you and I were together earlier today, we've had Kasim Uma so many times. I said, Teddy, you remember that fight he had against Carlos Bojorquez where he was so sloppy and lethargic early and he got caught? But this guy had enough to catch him, as you said, and then keep going.
He had the talent not to allow Uma to overcome his mistakes early, and maybe his lack of preparation, mentally and physically. Uma, the kind of kid, a fun-loving kid, maybe a little too fun-loving, sometimes doesn't come prepared. May have paid a big price last night.
We have a real interesting story unfolding here in our main event. Round number 7. The unbeaten Jason Litzau in the red, white, and blue, taking on the former Dominican Olympian Johnny Nolasco. And in the 5th round, Nolasco caught him with a left hook. Litzau, of course, 14-0 with 14 knockouts, a prize prospect, but now the biggest challenge of his young career.
And to go along with that challenge of being tested by Nolasco, Litzau now in territory he's never been before, having never been past the 6th round until now. Nolasco still has another round to go before he gets into that territory. He's been 8 rounds, 8 times, but never passed the 8-round distance. Both these fighters about to venture into possible new areas, unknown areas.
Starting to see some frustration just with the body language and looking off to the side and back at the referee with Jason Litzau. This isn't how the script has gone before.
Well, you know, Joe, it's good you brought that up, because when I say that both fighters, and especially right now, Litzau going into areas he's never been before, I don't mean just rounds. I mean as far as experience.
Left hook.
I mean as far as being tested. I mean as far as mentally being able to be asked certain tough questions and coming up with the right answers.
Right hand, left hook from Litzau. He's been scoring well in past 30 seconds as the blood continues to come from the nose.
You never know with a prospect who's 14-0, who had a tremendous amateur career, 180 amateur fights. You never know if he has that special thing until he's tested in a special fight. This might be the night you find that out with Litzau.
Seen a couple times before where Nolasco has beat him to the punch with the left hook, but not here in the 7th round.
The ability only means so much. You have to have the other intangibles. We're getting a peek at that now.
There it is! He beat him that time with it!
Well, that's what we were talking about. We were talking about it early on. But of course, Litzau did not hear it. He kept falling in. He was landing the right hand early. But we thought it was a danger because he was falling into his body, into the punching area of Nolasco. And of course, Nolasco was able to land that big left hook.
Holy cow, what a turn of events here in this 7th round. Jason Litzau holding on for dear life to survive. Nolasco pouring it on. Wow, he's going to the neutral corner. He doesn't know where he is.
The referee is going to have to call a doctor, and I believe the responsible thing right now is get a doctor up in the corner. You said it well, Joe. Litzau just went to the wrong corner. He was out on his feet. He's still out.
He's still out.
And you need to get a doctor with a pen light right now up in that corner, looking to the pupils of Litzau. I don't see a doctor.
He's not ready. You better not let him out.
Let's listen in.
You okay, son? I'm not going to let him get hurt. He's out there. He's fine. Move until you get recovered. Don't stand here. Tell me the truth. You got something with you? Keep them hands. You got something with you?
Here's a look at the hook that did it, Teddy.
When we talked about not just landing punch, but why, this is why. You see, Litzau's in too close. He's not fighting tall. Once again, he's fighting short and small, and that's exactly what Nolasco needed to land that left hook, his favorite punch, and one, by the way, he throws very well.
Let's take a look at the legs of Jason Litzau. He had 60 seconds to gather himself, the first 10 of which were wasted walking to a neutral corner.
Right now, it's not about winning a round for Litzau. It's about getting his legs out, back, under him, getting control of those legs, getting rid of the cobwebs.
What do you think, Teddy? How do they look?
They look a little shaky right now. What counts now is not what Litzau does, what Nolasco allows him to do. It's up to Nolasco now not to waste a very important opportunity. An opportunity he might not get again.
There's the inside work. Tried to put the left hand back in there, now chasing him down.
Anyone can survive, Joe, with heart, as Litzau obviously has, if you leave them alone after they've been hurt. It's up to Nolasco not to leave them alone.
Teddy Atlas's scorecard. Nolasco with that 10-8 round, pulling ahead 67-66.
Right now, Litzau doing the right thing. Does not need to win this round. Needs to stay out of range. Needs to kill time as he's doing right now. Needs to make it a boring round by tying up and just getting time.
Less of tying up and more work on the outside from Litzau. He would be well served to tie up here, but how many times in his career has he ever tied up, Teddy?
Well, right now, you need to be prepared for these moments. And hopefully for his sake, they've worked on it in the gym. If you are in trouble, and it comes to every fighter at some point in their life, you must be prepared for it, and hopefully he's been taught how to tie up.
This is the beauty of the game. An undefeated prospect. He's won by knockout every step of the way. You have to learn as you go, and what a learning experience it is tonight. Will it be an experience that blemishes his record?
But right now, I said it in the beginning of this round, it's not so much about Litzau, it's about Nolasco. What he's doing, and right now, looking for one shot at a time, allowing himself to be tied up on the inside, not creating room, doing just what Litzau in his corner would like him to do, giving him time to do that, to get his legs back out from under him.
He places a right hand with 30 seconds to go in this 8th round.
Well, he's had 2.5 minutes, Joe, to recover. Courtesy of his opponent, Nolasco. Nolasco has allowed him to tie up. Nolasco has thrown one punch at him at a time instead of combinations. Nolasco has not taken advantage of a moment. Let's see if he pays for it.
Remember, stop at the bell.
So a wasted opportunity by Johnny Nolasco after having Jason Litzau out on his feet.
Stop.
All alone in the corner. Jason Litzau. That's how he has felt for the past couple rounds. The undefeated prospect, who was a favorite to come in here tonight against Johnny Nolasco, a very tough and game veteran, and take another step closer to making those dreams come true. But it's been Johnny Nolasco who has stepped up this game and is ahead on Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 77-75, surging ahead with that left hook in the 7th round that floored Jason Litzau.
You know, we talked about it earlier before that big left hook, Joe. You can be winning and still be getting close to losing. What I meant by that is Litzau was scoring with the right hand, but he was falling in. And he continued doing it. Yes, he was landing the right hand, but yes, he was also doing that. Falling in with the right hand, getting into the punching zone of Nolasco, which he finally paid a price for 2 rounds ago.
Outside up on the inside again,
Nice
Nolasco.
and relax. Nice and relax.
Smothered a few times in that 8th round, was able to get off. Back to the jab for Litzau.
Battle of mental toughness.
Stop. Break. Box.
A battle of dealing with questions and hard answers. And also a battle of attrition. Now both these fighters are in territory they've never
Good
been
right
before.
hand.
Never been before.
Another right hand from Litzau. Now he's on the offensive attack. Jason Litzau turning it on a bit here, Teddy.
He's trying to show that he's made of what champions possess.
Keep in mind, he has the pure power. He can turn this fight around. Left hook.
And keep in mind, he's doing it in close. He's doing it in what's supposed to be Nolasco's area. Inside, in an area where a fighter usually fights small. So there's a chance where Nolasco can come back and still land that left hook.
Break. Now stop. Break. Let's go.
Right.
Now Litzau has turned things around. Back and forth they go.
Right now for Litzau, it's not about technique. It's about digging down and showing he's worthy. Showing that all the talk, all the hours, all the years, all those months, all those things he gave up, not going to his prom. As a fighter, as a young fighter, getting up 5 in the morning.
Stop.
Showing that it all means something because he can behave like a champion, not just talk like one.
Stop.
This was a horrible round from Nolasco. He had that sensational 7th, didn't get anything done in the 8th, and let Jason Litzau right back into this fight here in the 9th.
That's a telling sign right there to show that Nolasco gets inside and allows himself. Matter of fact, does more than allows himself. Gets tied up, and now he gets caught and pays a price for it.
He is hurt. Left hand from Jason Litzau, and all of a sudden, the American boy has confidence again.
Keep that left hand in space. You're gonna knock this upper out. Keep that right hand up the skin.
Listen, don't try to knock him out. Just do what you're doing. You see.
Here's what happened at the end of that 9th round, a round in which Litzau went back to the power, Teddy.
Well, Litzau, all he did, Joe, was reach down inside himself and say, do you want to be a champion? It doesn't matter if I do it outside or inside. I just have to do it. And he let his hands go. And he was able to catch Nolasco with a good left hook there, as Nolasco was also throwing a left hook.
Look at Jason Litzau. It was only 2 rounds ago. He didn't know which corner was his. Now he has complete confidence. Friday night fights presented by AutoZone from Temecula, California at Pachanga. Joe Tessitore, Teddy Atlas, Marvelous Marvin Hagler in studio with Brian Kenny, and it has been a great main event. The undefeated Jason Litzau, 14-0 with 14 knockouts, tested on the deck and now on the comeback against Johnny Nolasco. The punches in the 9th round. Look at the numbers. 32-8 edge for Jason.
How often have you heard in life, be opportunistic? Don't allow opportunities to pass by. Nolasco may have done that several rounds ago.
Nolasco's still ahead on Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 86-85. But let me ask you this, Teddy. Was there any thought of a 10-8 round in that 9th round?
It took me about 30 seconds to finally put my pen down on that paper because I was going back and forth thinking about just that.
That's Teddy's scorecard. It also includes an even round. So within range, all we know is this is a close fight.
You know what you saw a moment ago coming out of that corner by Litzau wasn't about confidence, Joe. That was about telling himself, this is your moment. This is your championship right now. You want to go to any other championship, you got to show you're worthy right now. Let's go and put up or shut up. And that's what Litzau's doing right now.
Relax. Nice.
Every fighter knows there comes a time in his life he's going to be tested. That time is here tonight for Litzau.
Coming up next will be ISKA Karate after this main event of Friday Night Fights. Coming to the final minute here of this 10th round.
Right now, Litzau, after he was hurt a couple rounds ago, being smarter now. staying on the outside, using his height.
Stop.
Although right
Break.
there he fell in a little bit. Right now, Litzau not cooperating with Nolasco, not getting short where Nolasco can get into punching range.
Break. Box.
If Nolasco's going to get in punching range, he's going to have to do it on his own. He's going to have to move forward as he just tried there.
Mano libres after 3 first, gentlemen.
Neither one of these men have been in the 10th round before. Litzau dealing with it much better.
Indeed he is. He turned it around. Up off the canvas. His feet back under him. And
he's
closing
feeling
the show. John Nolasco, Jason Litzau, on behalf of fans, thank you very much. Litzau wants the jackpot in a sport that rewards entertainers. Boy, was he entertaining tonight. ESPN2 Friday Night Fights, presented by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And in part by your neighborhood Ace Hardware, the helpful place. Beautiful Temecula, California. And what a main event we had here at Pechanga. The total punches between Johnny Nolasco, who's very happy for the time being, and Jason Litzau. Litzau outlanded him 56-16 in the last 2 rounds. Teddy Atlas's scorecard, 95-95, a draw that includes an even round and a round that he was debating 10-8 could have gone for Litzau. Let's send it up to the ring to Michael Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, here at Pechanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California, we go to the scorecards. Dr. Lou Moret scores the bout. 95-94, he has it for Nolasco. Gwen Adair scores the contest 95-94. She scores it for Litzau. And Pat Russell scores the contest 95-94 to the winner by split decision. Still undefeated, the American boy, Jason Litzau.
The crowd is 50-50. You know what, Teddy? I like the way he finished. I think he did enough.